Hi, everyone. Today we are going to talk about business unit strategies. So let's get started. Before we talk about business unit strategy, let's do a quick recap on what we have learned. So last week we talked about one uh, higher level strategy, right? We talked about in order for top management team to determine such strategies, what they usually would need to do is to understand their corporate profiles. That is, overall, on the highest level, whether the organization decide to compete in one industry, in related industry, or have a portfolio that consists of business unit operating across various unrelated industries. And there are also corresponding corporate strategy you need to be aware of. And overall, there are three basic strategies, whether you want to grow existing market share or maintain the existing market share, or reduce this market share or simply exit, right? And we also talk about different means and will be better for pursuing corporate growth. And toward the end, we also discussed the fact that stability may sometimes be better than growth. And to sum up all these ideas, that's when we use Boston Consulting Group's matrix to identify individual business units, how they could fit into each of these four quadrants. We have stars where they business unit will operate in the market area with high growth potential and high market share. And we also have the area where business unit may operate with a high growth potential but low market share. In this area, usually means that could be a very significant amount of resource they need to be devoted in order to capture incremental change, incremental improvement. So that's why it's a question mark area. The third category is so-called cash cow, or where there's no low growth potential, but you do have a high market share. So that's when perhaps stability strategy could come in handy. Right? It doesn't make sense for you to devote too much additional resources to growth in your market share, simply because there's nothing much for you to capture. And a good strategy at this point may be just remain stable, right? And the fourth category, dogs, represent a place where the market has low growth potential and low market shares. So these capture very different market domain, and you can think about the corresponding strategy for you to uh, design and implement it. Now let's switch gear and talk about business unit level strategies. We'll quickly define key concept, then talk about Michael Porter's again, his generic strategy typologies. Let's get started. There are four important key terms you would need to be aware for this section. First is business unit. So business unit simply defined is the organization entity with its own mission, its competitors, and industry. Basically, it's an independent unit where they will encounter a unique set of competitors, and they will have to determine also their own strategy to compete in this particular space. And competitive advantages simply refer to uh, organizational state where a business use success cannot be seen easily duplicated by its competitors. If you are able to achieve such competitive advantage, that really means that Others cannot simply imitate your business strategy, and your profitability is likely to be secure for a long term. And generic strategy simply refer to a set of simple categorization of strategy that would be available for businesses to implement. And in fact, today we are going to talk about a number of generic strategy that you can utilize for a particular business unit. And strategic groups simply means that within the industry, we could easily identify those companies that uh, implement the same generic strategy and will put into the strategy group. Usually, those companies will be highly competitive against each other simply because they often will adopt similar strategy approach to in that space, making it difficult for consumer to know who to differentiate these existing stakeholders, right? So not today, in this week's discussion, I'm going to have you talk about generic strategy in the smartphone industry and present your analysis and then identify different strategic groups that you adopt different strategy, right? So this will be an interesting discussion items for you to uh, get more insights on how in within the industry how different type of generic strategy you may observe, right? And this table simply shows the Michael Porter's generic strategy typology. So in the original conception, Michael Porter only highlight four generic strategies, highlight in red here. And these four generic strategy are low cost strategies, where you emphasize on low cost and target the entire market. Or you can emphasize on low cost strategies, and focus only on niche market uh, area. So that's so-called focused low cost strategy. Or you can emphasize on quality, on how you could easily differentiate your products from your competitors. And if you focus on the entire market, that's simply called differentiation strategy. And if you focus on a particular niche market space, you simply would be implement a focused differentiation strategy. And the generic strategy highlighted in blue is traditionally have been perceived to be not very likely to be implemented. In fact, Michael Porter will argue that those uh, four strategy on the right two columns actually is not feasible because Michael Porter believed that if you adopt low cost strategies, it would be very difficult for you to implement the differentiation strategy, right? Yet, we'll talk about how that could be done in the second half of this section. So let's go over each of these strategy one by one and use to like some example to demonstrate this use case. So for low cost strategy, simply which is the low cost leadership strategy. Basically, if you want to adopt this strategy, you will uh, aim to produce basic products with too much fancy features, right? Because ultimately you want to cut cost and you want to be able to make it affordable for um, everyone to purchase. And so that's why you would build market share, get market share by using low pricing point. And usually it involve low initial investment and low operating cost. Or so that way you will be able to reduce cost aspect and be able to offer a lower price to your customers. Oftentimes, company in adopt this type of strategy will outsource to reduce their cost. They could outsource their manufacturing capabilities to company overseas. So instead of building a plant in the United States, which would be very costly, they can simply have a sign contract with foreign companies and have them manufacture these for them. However, this strategy can be very vulnerable for price competition simply because others can adopt similar strategy if they figure out a way to make things cheaper for them to produce, then they can easily lower their price and outcompete you. And consumer at this point don't really care what type of what where they got the product from, simply because all these products will have very generic feature. It's making them very difficult to differentiate one product from another. Right? A good example would be Walmart, because of their super supply chain information management system, they were able to cut down their operating cost greatly and making uh, them able to afford low pricing strategy, right? And a focused low cost strategy, on the other hand, instead of focusing on the entire market space, they will only focus on a niche market space. And a good example would be Redbox rent DVDs and video games through vending machine for only $1. This used to be a very interesting style ideas, probably about 10 years ago. But ever since, because online streaming have become more popular, so this no longer be a viable business ideas. All right, but that is an example illustrate how low cost strategy can also have a niche market and making a focused low cost strategies. Differentiation strategy, on the other hand, can be perceived as the complete opposite of low cost strategy. Basically, what you would have to do is you would produce products that really have high quality that can easily allow consumer to distinguish this product from all other competitors, right? So usually this can be done is to through some scientific uh, breakthrough, through the use of radical innovations, then company would be able to uh, come up with the superior product that would be highly differentiated from others. Think of Apple computer, right? As an example, they, for example, in the beginning, uh, when they first introduced iPhone, for example, they really rely on technological innovations, really introduce a product that will wow many of consumers, making them to develop strong brand royalties. Right? So differentiation, although often can be done through scientific breakthrough or some kind of innovations, it also can be done based on other characteristics such as the product's physical characteristics, so the product design, or other factors that can easily influence the perceived uh, quality, such as marketing or after sales service. Those could matter in premium market space, right? A good example could be various type of specialty clothing retailers such as Armani, Versace, LV, etc. And focus differentiation strategies is very similar to the generic differentiation strategy, but instead of focusing on the entire market, you only focus on a niche place where you believe that there's a strong need for such unique products. And it's based on the assumption that customer in such niche market will be willing to pay a high premium for this type of products. A good example would be Breeze Resort, which is a tropical resort that only serves couple without children. So you can imagine that those consumers will want to enjoy such a resort without interference of children or and so that way they can enjoy their time, and that's really a very unique population, then most likely they will be willing to pay a higher premium compared to other consumers as well. Now let's move on to the less traditional strategy typology, the so-called low-cost differentiation strategy. So this strategy will often emphasize both on low cost and differentiation. And as we mentioned briefly, Michael Porter will not believe this can be doable in the long run, right? Because the tension between these low cost strategy and differentiation strategy can be quite great. Whenever you adopt low cost strategy, that really means that you won't devote significant resources to differential products from others, right? Yet others argue that this can be doable. So let's take a look at how this can be done. So there are actually five different ways people have suggested how a low cost differentiation strategy can be designed and implemented. The first one is basically a strong commitment to quality. Doing so will not only improve the output but also reduce the cost in the manufacturing process because you pay close attention to improving the quality. Maybe in the process, you will be able to detect or modify the manufacturing process, shorten it, and making sure that all component can be achieved in a more optimal level. And so basically, you could build this quality into the process of manufacturing, which could help the cost of rework, scrap, and serving the product after the sale. Right? So business can benefit with such focused commitment to quality. Another way is to differentiate on the basis of low cost. So many businesses that achieve such positions simply because many their other competitors will not be able to do so. And so what you are doing here is differentiate yourself from all other competitors because you are the only company that would be able to achieve such low cost operation and then resulting in low pricing strategy. A third potential strategy or tactics to achieve this strategy would be of innovation, right? So process innovation, simply put, involve on the improvement of the manufacture or logistic process. By removing unnecessary steps, perhaps you will be able to better streamline the manufacture process, and that will help you to reduce your cost while maintaining this high quality of products. And number four is through product innovations. Product innovation usually presumed to enhance differentiation, but at the same time, it can also result in low cost. If you are able to figure out a way to assemble your product with, for example, with fewer components, then you ultimately would be able to reduce the cost of production, right? Uh, uh, Here's an example, adding filter to cigarette, which is a very cheap way to help differentiate your brand, but at the same time, it also will reduce the production cost because instead of using material that's more expensive, this filter can help you also reduce the cost further. And fifth one is value innovation. So this is when blue ocean strategy will come in, and we'll devote a lecture specifically on blue ocean strategy toward the end of this class. All right. So basically, if you want to adopt this approach, you need to figure out how you can create unique values that existing consumer or existing competitors are not even aware of. All right. So you need to figure out how to modify your product, service, or activity in order to maximize or come up with new value for your customers. And this may also help you to uh, just to attract additional consumer and help you really secure a low cost differentiation strategy in the market space. All right. And so the focused low cost differentiation strategy simply means that you will focus on a particular niche market space. You will only produce highly differentiated products for a unique set of group of customers. And finally, then last but not least, it would be multiple strategy. Basically, this means that you will employ more than one strategy, and each strategies will be tailored to the need of distinct uh, type of market or distinct consumers. A good example would be airline, right? Offering both first class and economic seatings that will attract different end users. At the same time, not only offering utilize differentiation strategy, and they are also use low cost strategy by offering different type of seating arrangement, etc., and different type of service corresponding to those, right? So let's cover all the basic strategies, and thanks.